Welcome to the Stuff and Things Podcast, your home for all stuff related to your favorite things in entertainment. Now, here are your hosts.
When you hear the epic music, it can mean only one thing, and that is the return of the Stuff and Things podcast, talking about the Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power. It is episode 6 this week. I am Sam. Joining me to discuss the show, my partner in crime, it's Stefan.
How are we doing?
Not too bad, brother, and yourself?
I am doing well, sir. Doing well.
Excellent. Well, let us not waste daylight. It is the Rings of Power episode 6. The title of the episode was...
Udon.
I think you're right. Udon.
It sounds like what they were shouting. Udon. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go with it.
If you have a translation, please let us know.
We've discussed the Rings of Power. We've discussed the kind of what we feel is it's very Lord of the Rings in terms of epic in scale, visually stunning. But we felt as episodic television, they're getting the pacing wrong. We felt that perhaps, I can understand why some people have sat back and gone, do you know what, I'm going to let episodes rack up and then watch them like in a weekend.
Yeah.
And I kind of understood that sentiment. This is episode 6. And in episode 6, I think it's safe to say we kind of had the event. We kind of had what it felt like we've been building towards for the opening 5 episodes. Adar and his army set off to the tower and the wall. Interesting thing, before he leads his army, he is acting again like an elf. Because he is one originally. He plants seeds and talks about how before battle planting seeds is about new life from death, and then tells his army, let's go kill some people.
Yeah, it was kind of like this real nice moment of, you always plant the seeds because even from death comes life, and you're like, kill them all! Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is...
Right, okay.
Yeah, kind of like, bring it on. I mean, we see... Because the funny thing is the mirroring of this, because, of course, you see Adar do it, and then they march on the tower, and later on, you see Arondir do it, and explain it to Bronwyn. And I kind of love that, the mirroring of it, and how it's clearly a big thing for elves. This is a tradition. This is something they do. So Adar is still very much elfish. It makes me think that every forest in Middle Earth is kind of like, that's a battle scene. There you go. There was clearly a great battle where that forest is, because the elves are partying everywhere. when you consider how long the elves live, you could well be right.
Yeah.
Good 1,000-year-old elf, and they look back and I had a battle there. What, that forest? Yes, that's how many of us planted our seeds. Then we died over there. Yeah. Planted our seeds, not a euphemism.
I was going to say, wow.
So, Adar leads his army to the tower. Now, in my note here, watched this with a smug grin. So basically, me and you in the last episode both picked up on the fact that there was this moment where Arondir and Bronwyn were like, what are we going to do with the tower? And then they both kind of like, the tower. And looked up at it, and we were like, they're going to bring it down.
Yeah, the tower will fall. Dun, dun,
yeah.
Dun.
And that's literally what they did. So they lured them in. They left the gates open. They made it look like they'd all run away. Arondir was up there hiding. Adar's like, I can smell the elf. I was like, dude, uncool. That's... Yeah. I mean, he's not had a lot of time in the bath since you had him as a slave. I mean, that's... no need to body shame him like that. It's just uncool. And Arondir, being a badass that he is, uses his bow, takes a few of them out, and again, using his skills, closes them in to the building, cuts off a load of them, and does collapse the tower, and kills a lot of them. You see the villagers all celebrate, and they're like, yeah. Obviously, the realization they're not all dead means that, okay, we now need to prepare the village because they're going to be coming at us and they're going to be pissed. So, I mean, I don't know about you, but I respect the standing and fighting point of view.
Yeah.
But what I don't understand is, and again, I like to think of myself as someone who's military tactically minded a little bit. The position they had was in essence a fortress. There was a single access point via a bridge, a tower, and walls, and you had to defend that one access, which, if you didn't want them to come across, you could have destroyed the bridge.
Yeah.
So why abandon that position
and go to a village farm right in the middle of nowhere?
Get hit from all sides. Now, I know there was a bridge across the water to get there, but you could still have marched out and around, as we later see they did.
Yeah.
So I didn't fully understand that. I did kind of look at that moment where they're going, okay, prepare the village, and I'm like, now if you were all like, okay, now run, I'd have got it. I'd like, okay, you don't plan to stand and fight, you're just literally going to keep running. I'm with you guys. More power to you. Get on your bikes.
It's like they've kind of gone, like you say, from this big place that had like the big tower and the walls and everything, and now they're putting all the weak and vulnerable in the inn. Or this will be our helm. And it's like, no, that is a pub.
You literally had one. You literally had a building back there which was a keep. It's just... So I didn't fully get that. I did kind of question that in my head. I didn't question it from a kind of... the show's jumped the shark, the show's being stupid. I questioned it from the character's point of view. I was kind of like, well, you kind of seem very, very inexperienced people here. And perhaps they thought, we can't... I don't know. I did just sort of worry or wonder about that. Like we said, they do prepare the village, and they do get a first wave come across. Bronwyn fights off one sort of orc who kills the woman she's with, sets a light to this sort of burning barrow and launches it into them. We do get a kind of an amusing line where one of the orcs is like, she missed, and then a load more come in and take him out, which cracked me up. I was like, this is good. There's a nice balance of heartfelt, battle going on, a little smirky moment. That was good.
Yeah, I always like that.
Yeah, I like that. So they do have this fight, and they're on top. Arondir, again, absolute badass. You see Bronwyn and the villagers fight bravely and brilliantly, and they do repel them. They do fight them off. I mean, Arondir has probably the toughest task, because he seems to walk into the largest orc in the world.
Yeah, that guy was huge.
Who basically kicks the crap out of him. Arondir even stabs him in the eye at one point, and then when he pulls the thing back out of his eye, it's just getting bled on, and the guy's just trying to drive this now into Arondir's eye, which was making me feel really uncomfortable.
I've got to be honest, the bit that made me feel most uncomfortable was the amount of blood that went into Arondir's mouth. I was like, no.
Yeah, all of it. That whole scene
Blade
was
to
just
the
like,
eye,
oh,
I was
no.
okay. Blade to the eye, fine. That's gross. Blood in the mouth, no.
Yeah, no. The whole scene had me a bit like, oh no, this is awful. Bronwyn saves his ass, not for the first time, and so it's kind of like a good moment, but unfortunately, is just a moment, because the villagers rejoice, and then Arondir and a couple of the others notice that the blood on a lot of the orcs they've killed is red. Yeah. And then when they take the helmets and the armour off, they realise it's the villagers, their neighbours, their friends, in air quotes, who left them, have just been thrown at them, basically as cannon fodder.
Now, Adar and the orcs were pretty damn smart on this one, weren't they?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Adar completely outsmarted them at this point.
Yeah.
Adar, threw this wave across that bridge whilst he marched the rest of his army around, on the basis of, if they kill all these human idiots, they're just killing themselves, which is perfect. It's just what we want.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it, he calls them his children, will then come in and wipe out
pretty much mop up what's left. Yeah.
Yeah, and the minute they kind of have this realization that their celebration's been premature, arrows start flying in from everywhere. The archers who were on the roofs get taken out. You see one of the guys who fought so bravely and even complimented the elf, someone, something you wouldn't have thought would have happened in this village just a few weeks ago, gets taken out and killed. Bronwyn gets taken out, doesn't die. But at one point I did think was going to die.
I was getting close to turning it off, I tell you.
Yeah.
Bronwyn dies, all right. Yeah.
Yeah, she got hurt badly. But they all fall back on their, like you say, the keep position, barricade the doors and everything. I don't know about you, but again, I'm kind of like this position that they barricaded themselves into this. The orcs are bent on destruction. They're not there to take prisoners. They're there to wipe them out. So why is it that they felt all of them confining themselves in a building that the orcs could just set fire to?
There was, because they do march in with their torches and stuff, and that was where I thought this was going to go. Just set fire to a couple of arrows, shoot at the roof, game over. Yeah. Well,
you stand outside, you set fire to the building, you wait for them to open the door. And everyone who runs out, you kill.
Which is weird because we're kind of looking at this big epic battle scene. And if you were to say about, tactical naivety, you would normally think of the orcs or something would be the ones that are just tactically naive because they're all just bent on, we will go and kill and destroy everything.
Yeah.
But actually, the tactically naive ones are the humans and the elf.
Which is what I find kind of interesting. And again, this isn't me picking fault of the show by discussing this. This is me just thinking it's representative, perhaps, of Arondir being a younger elf. He's probably not Galadriel age. In fact, when Galadriel arrives, he almost hero worships her.
That's Galadriel.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my God.
It's like, oh, they're in shit now. Yeah. He's like so excited. And she calls him soldiers. So he's not a commander. He's not someone who's used to leading. He is a soldier. He's literally someone who used to walk the beat, so to speak, on a patrol. He'd guard the wall. He's very skilled.
And then you think he's working with Bronwyn, who is literally like, from what I'm gathering, the medicine maker.
Yeah, so the healer of the town,
They're neither of them are kind of like battle hardened or anything. So
no,
they're
doing the best they can.
They make kind of ground it in reality almost because
absolutely,
they're kind of like,
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I like that. If they develop these kind of ultimate battle plans and were like outclassing, and also Adar, he wants this helm thing. So when you see him do all this, like he's tactically outfought them.
Yeah.
He has outfought them as well. But when he doesn't just burn that place down, it's because he wants something.
Yeah.
So when he does storm in, they don't just walk in killing everyone. They walk in, hold their knives to everybody, and he then follows in and where is it? And the minute he doesn't just hand it over, they kill a load of people. And then he's like, try again. and he makes it abundantly clear. He's just going to keep killing people until he hands it over. And if you don't hand it over in the time I've killed everyone, I'm going to kill you anyway and just look for it.
Yeah, and then he turns his blade on the kid, Theo and Bronwyn, and it's kind of like, oh dear. I expected Arondir to snap.
Yeah, now this is an interesting point I want to bring up with you. So I thought Arondir at that moment was like, kill her, and he'd go, no, and Arondir would hand it over. However, it's actually Theo. Now, there's two parts of this that I want to discuss with you. First part, earlier in the episode, Arondir takes it, covers it, and says to Bronwyn, I'm going to hide it by myself. It's best that you or nobody knows where it is.
And he makes a big point, even you can't know where it is. Yeah.
So nobody can know where this is. So how in the hell does Theo know?
Like, instantly, yes, under there.
Now, does he know because he saw, which we didn't get, or can he sense it? Can he feel it? And if that's the case, because later on when he talks to, like, he feels a loss, like when he doesn't have it with him, he feels like I liked the power, the feeling of it. It's hurting me that I don't have it anymore.
Yeah.
I'm starting to wonder about this kid.
There's a connection to it somewhere.
Yeah, I got a bad feeling that Theo's going to grow out to be a bit of a bad dude.
You kind of, I mean, it would fit the character because at the moment he's just a little dick. Like some of the things he's done, some of the stuff he's done, you're like, oh, you're just a dick, kid. Come on.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
this
teenagers, man, teenagers.
Yeah, is this the whole, like the villain origin story? This is what we are seeing.
But it's interesting. But he does hand it over to save his mum's life, which, on the flip side, is, if he's feeling this draw to it and this kind of power from it, the fact he's willing to give it up for his mother perhaps balances that. I don't know. But he does hand it over. Adar takes it. Now, Adar, similar to the villagers rejoicing at the moment they thought they'd won and then the enemy arriving in full power and it becoming a bad thing.
Yeah.
Adar kind of has a moment with this hilt before all of a sudden there's a rumbling. Is it thunder? No, it's galloping hooves because the army of Numenor has arrived.
Oh yeah.
Now, I've seen a few things online about this, and I do feel it's a beautiful nod. That cavalry charge obviously is nothing like the Rohirrim, but felt like a beautiful nod to that Rohirrim cavalry charge, because that in cinemas was just incredible.
It was an epic scene, yeah.
It just was, and so seeing that in this level, storming into the village, ripping through the orcs as the sun came up as well. So the orcs were kind of like caught off guard in all aspects of it.
Yeah, they're kind of hiding from the sun and getting slayed at the same time. Yeah,
absolutely slaughtered. Now, the thing, and we touched on it a minute ago, but one of the things I absolutely loved in this was we had seen Galadriel in the opening episode be a bit of a badass. She took out that troll, that cave troll.
Yeah.
And we were kind of like, oh, Galadriel's a badass. But since then, her attitude's been badass, but we've not seen her in combat. And then you see her riding in, her horsemanship, the way she, just fought her way through. And I was just like, yeah, Galadriel's the best. and like you said, the hero worship, the absolute, when he saw her and was just like, Arondir, is Galadriel the leader of the Northern armies?
Yes, she's here to save us!
And she sees him, she's like, soldier, and he's like, yes, miss, whatever you need.
Yeah, I will do anything, you're awesome.
It's like, who is their leader? And he points out Adar, and he's like, he cannot be allowed to leave with what he's got. Boom, you done. There's no... What I love about that is just the communication is so precise, so kind of, like, oh, thank you for coming, you're welcome. None of that crap. Elves are so sort of to the point.
Leader, him, get him. Okay.
Yeah, nail him. He can't be allowed to leave with what he has, and so she goes after him. Now, there's a couple of aspects of this which I love. Her chasing him down, whispering to the horse, a very elven thing, and the horse accelerating because of what she said. Dread to think what she said, but something to do with a hot poker behind him, maybe. I don't know.
One thing I did notice is that no matter who you are, if you are riding a horse in slow motion, it doesn't look good. Slow motion horse riding is not a facial expression that should be slow mode. Bless them.
No,
there's a couple of shots.
Unfair.
Yeah,
it's unfair on all actors. It is unfair. One of the other things I kind of like is Halbrand spots this chase, and you see him just kind of go off.
Yeah.
Now the thing I like about this is they're in the Southlands. Halbrand grew up here.
Yeah,
Halbrand knows. He knows where he is. He knows the lay of the land. So Halbrand actually gets ahead of them.
Yeah.
Which again, I saw people online like, oh, how did he get there? I'm like, well, because he knew where he was. He probably looked at that and went, well, they're taking that path, which only leads them to there, so I'll just go there.
Yeah, pretty much.
So he gets ahead of them. He brings him down. He brings Adar down by tripping the horse. We get the custom scene of the horse getting up and is fine because, of course, otherwise animal rights people would be screaming.
Yep.
And he then has a moment with Adar. Do you remember me? And in the coldest way possible, Adar's like, nope. And I loved that.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it.
Like, it wasn't even the whole kind of acting to play up, like, oh, I don't know who you are, you'd mean nothing to me. It was just stone cold. No, should I?
Now, it reminds me, right, there is a crap film in the 90s called Street Fighter, okay?
Amazing film, but...
The film is garbage. Yeah. Absolute garbage. But there's a line in it which is stuck with me for my entire life because it always made me go, oh, wow. And there's this woman who hunts down the bad guy, Bison, and she gets in front of him finally, and she's like, you murdered everyone, all my family, and I am so-and-so. And he's like, who? And she's like, I'm so-and-so, daughter of so-and-so, you murdered him. And he just, cold as ice, goes, for you, the day Bison came to your town and murdered everyone was a big event. For me, it was Tuesday. And I was, wow. Like, the film is crap, but that one line has just stuck with me forever. I've been like, that line is awesome. That line, how cold is that?
Yeah.
And so the way he's like, do you remember me? And, it could have been this, like, of course I remember you. You could have had this whole thing, but it was just like, nope. And I was like, oh wow, that's cold, because he's angry and Halbrand wants to kill him, but Galadriel stops him, which I still think was a bad move.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, you can kill the big bad here and now, or you can let him live to do worse.
Yeah,
the second option I don't think has ever worked out well for people.
No, I'm with you. So Galadriel takes him back. Now the army of Numenor have won. We got to see a few people fight, and Isildur joined the fight, basically saving his father. Although his father seemed to be like, "I was fine." I'm like, "No, mate, you were in trouble.
You were on your ass with a sword at your throat. Yeah, you were in trouble.
Yeah, you were in trouble. Your kid saved you. Deal with it." And Isildur and his mates survived, but one of them's basically shouldn't be in that fight at all. Clearly isn't a soldier.
Like, I'm done. I'm going to stay here and be a farmer now. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to stay here and help rebuild because, I'm done fighting. This isn't good.
Enjoy that. Yeah.
So I kind of feel like at least he's self-aware. At least,
he knows.
At least
that
he didn't.
Not fun.
Yeah, that was not good. His contribution to that battle wasn't one that people are going to talk about for years to come.
There will not be songs made of this moment, no.
No, not at all. So I like that. I did kind of enjoy it. Now, we get this kind of moment where they're kind of rejoicing a little bit. The people of Numenor are there, and the locals have brought them food and drink, like as a thank you, which is great. Now, Galadriel is now interrogating the prisoner, and she's taken off him what he had wrapped up in the cloth, and she's interrogating him. And one of the things he says, because she wants to talk about Sauron, she wants to talk about his master, and he kind of, again, me and you talked about this, he doesn't appear, whether he's lying or not, to actually have an allegiance to Sauron. He appears to have an allegiance to his children, as he puts it, to try and create a place for them to be safe. But he even says he killed Sauron.
Yeah.
Like, we as an audience know that Sauron's not dead.
Yep.
But, so what do you think's going on there? Do you think Adar is just a loyal servant and he's just sowing bullshit? Or does he really think he did kill Sauron?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. Like, I was watching the scene, and as I'm watching it, my first thoughts are the whole, oh wow, he really is on board with Sauron. Like, he is proper doing the whole, I will tell you whatever I can to protect whoever and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But as it goes on, I'm like, maybe he does actually believe he did kill him. Maybe he does believe that, you wouldn't believe that someone like me could go and do that. And I'm like, oh, maybe he did actually. No, surely, well, maybe. You know?
I mean, yeah, it's interesting. And I think one of the things they're doing with the characters in this show is they're giving us this kind of, I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure whether that person's good or not. I'm not entirely sure whether they're going to do anything. And one of the things I find kind of interesting is Galadriel, who saved the Dar from Halbrand just maybe a few moments earlier, was then about ready to cut his head off.
Yeah, and he has to stop her from doing it.
Yeah. To the point that when she moves her knife away, he is bleeding. Like, she literally was about to cut his head off.
Yeah. It's a nice little slice as she moves it away, as if to go, I could have done it.
Yeah.
Could have.
Yeah. Now, we then have a scene with Galadriel and Halbrand, which is, again, a little bit, I'm not sure. I can't make my mind up if that was an affection between the two.
Oh, 100%. I completely went with that one. I was like, that guy just interrupted a moment. Oh.
So you are shipping Galadriel, are you?
Whether I'm shipping it or not, I'm not sure, but I definitely thought there was about to be something there. There was kind of like the look between them and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, someone's about to say, no, guy came around the corner and interrupted him. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's
never fall in love with an elf, because she will live out you. Long time outlive you.
Yeah. I'm intrigued by that, because Galadriel's such an interesting character in this.
You got to think, for a human, you can spend your entire life with one person. For an elf, it's like a fling. Like how long they live for.
Yeah, literally,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a summer fling. You were together 70 years. It was a summer fling. What are you on about? Yeah.
Elves are literally cradle snatchers. So I find that scene kind of interesting. It'd be interesting to see where that goes, because I have a theory on Halbrand, which isn't a good theory.
Ooh.
But if I'm right, then I've worked out who he is in terms of the Lord of the Rings lore.
Ooh,
so
okay.
in the Lord of the Rings Return of the King, there is a story about how when everyone came together, like a big joined army of elves, dwarves, everyone, to fight Sauron, a king and his army didn't show up. They refused to fight. And because of that, they were cursed. And if you remember, Aragorn went and then recruited them as ghosts, basically.
Yes.
I think that's Halbrand.
You think Halbrand's the ghost leader?
The ghost king of all those... Yeah. Now, there's a little tiny thing that I noticed is his armour. So it looks the same. Now, I actually put The Lord of the Rings on at the weekend because it was on one of the channels, and I just sort of thought to myself, I wonder if I record this, then I'll fast forward it to the right scenes when he's in, and I'll see if it's just in my head. It's not. It's the same.
Oh, he's got it.
No, it could just... I mean, armour's armour, isn't it? It could just be 2 + 2 = 705. But to me, it feels like his character the whole time has felt like, look, you don't know me, there's a darkness in me, I want to run away from this. It just kind of feels like his instinct is to run away. And then you've got this situation where everyone's joining together to fight, and he runs away.
Which leads to him being cursed.
Leads to them all being cursed.
Oh.
He's finally Aragorn, forgives him of it, and they all were able to rest in peace. But that's a theory. The other thing that we spotted, me and you were discussing yesterday via message, is in The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, there's a scene where the boats are going down like a river, and you come across these two massive statues, two like kings of old, they call them. Boromir and Aragorn are just blown away, like, oh, I've always wanted to see these. This is amazing. It's basically carved into the mountains. These two men, and they're like holding a sword in one hand and their hands out, like caution, like do not come for, like bugger off. Basically, stop here if you plan. You're entering the realm of men, sort of thing. And I love them, and I watched again. The Fellowship of the Ring was just on, and this happened. I was like, oh, that's really fascinating. I wonder who they are. And I looked up who Peter Jackson. Now, apparently, this is slightly different to the books.
Oh, okay.
But only one of the characters. But it's actually Isildur and his father.
See, now that when you messaged me that and told me, I was like, now that is damn cool.
That is cool, isn't it?
Like,
that is really cool.
We are literally seeing their story playing out now. Like he was banished from the army, only allowed on as like the stable hand.
Yeah.
Had to wait for the Queen to nod at him so he could even join this first battle, and then he goes and saves his dad.
Yeah.
But at the moment, like he is showing himself to be nothing really that special, but okay with a sword. Yeah. We know what he becomes.
We do.
But we don't really know much about his dad's character as such yet, apart from, friend of the elf and stuff.
Yeah.
We don't know much more about Isildur's character yet, much apart from what he becomes. Yet we've already seen this giant thing in the mountains of both of them years and years and years ago in the Lord of the Rings movies. And now it's all coming full circle. It's like, wow.
Yeah. Can't wait. Can't wait to learn more. The other thing that happened in this episode is Isildur is tending his horse that's wounded. Mm-hmm. And his father comes over and whispers to the horse like an elf. And the horse steadies. And he says to him, the horse is bonded to you due to combat. Yep. The horse isn't worried about its pain, it's worried about yours. And he's like, what do you want to be like? Shut up, Dad.
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, what do you want about?
Yeah. I think Isildur's mother was an elf.
I have that feeling. The way he kind of he whispered, "Oh, your mother taught me," and which makes me doubt the fact that he tells Galadriel that she drowned.
Yeah, I'm curious.
I think there's a lot more to that story.
Yeah, me too.
I have my feeling is going towards Mum was an elf.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I'm fascinated. I'm really fascinated of where that's going to go. So there's lots of these little aspects to this. Arondir and Theo is the next bit I want to kind of touch on, because Arondir's handed back this bundle, which has been taken.
Yeah.
Galadriel hands it over get rid of this.
Yeah, this is what you wanted.
Yeah, Arondir goes to talk to Theo about it, and he's like, well, you've suffered this, maybe it needs to be you that deals with it. And Theo's kind of like, yeah, okay, I can see where you're coming from with this. But when Theo unwraps it, it's not the sword hilt. Someone has swapped it out, and it's an axe.
See, now this is what, you said earlier about him having a connection to the... Now, there was a part of me on that.
Yeah.
When he's got it in his hands and he starts opening it.
Yeah.
I was like, how did he know? It was almost like when he unwrapped it, he wasn't unwrapping it to see it. It was almost, I felt he was unwrapping it because he felt it wasn't right.
I think you're right. No, I'm with you. I think he unwrapped it because he knew it wasn't in there.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. Because I don't think we got a shot of him looking shocked. I don't think we got the kind of moment. No. It was just...
Obviously, he would have known the weight of it and stuff from carrying it. Yeah. So if it was a different weight, yes. But at the same time, I feel like there is some connection maybe there. As soon as Arondir started walking away, he was unwrapping it.
I agree.
And I was he knew it wasn't there.
Now, probably one of the things in Lord of the Rings is a line that Tolkien wrote about how the smallest individual can make the biggest difference.
Yep.
It was the story of how a hobbit basically saved all of Middle-earth. And it was kind of a great kind of lesson in that. It was kind of like, you do not have to be the billionaire. You do not have to be this, but the smallest person, the smallest pet can make the biggest difference. And it's empowering. It's a great message. What I kind of liked in this episode is what happens next. It's kind of like the opposite. It's kind of like the negative of that same thing. Whereas this piece of crap Waldreg from the village, who's nothing special. He's not a Dar.
No.
He's not an orc. He's not a wizard, a dark, anything or another. He's just a corrupt local asshole.
Yeah.
And he takes the hilt to the place where it needs to be used as a key, and he uses it.
Now, do you think Adar kind of set this all up?
I do, yeah. I think he must have handed it off to him when he ran. So he knew that the villager, a human, could slip out. Because, let's face it, none of the numinal riders were going to go after him.
No,
he's not an orc.
Human. Yeah.
He's just a running away villager.
Yeah.
But he would have known they'd have gone after him.
Yep.
So I think he slipped it to him and told him what to do. And he's gone and done it. And what he has done, if I'm right, is twofold, okay?
Yeah.
He has unlocked this, in essence, like a dam, which has launched water in all of those tunnels, which all of those orcs have been digging with their slaves.
Which was
and we
really
were wondering,
cool, because we were like, what are they are they tunnels just for them to be able to travel without in the sun? What are these for?
Yeah, which is what we assumed. We just assumed that's what it was, but no. All these tunnels lead into the mountain, so water would pour into it, and boom, we have got the birth of Mount Doom. We have just seen it happen.
Yeah, we have.
And it was incredible.
What a scene. Yeah.
Visually, they have got this shot. I mean, I know they've not spared any expense.
But it's like even the
I'm
little
so
bits
delighted
down to, yeah, Adar laying on the floor listening because he can hear the water coming under the floorboards and stuff like that. Like, all of it was just like, whoa.
It was absolutely incredible. Now, a few parts of this, okay? So, this cloud hits the village.
Yeah.
Galadriel is just kind of looking in all villagers running, but the cloud hits the village hard.
Yeah.
Adar escapes. He's not there.
Yeah.
Because we have that scene of him laying down, and then when we go back to that scene, he's gone.
Yep. Who released him?
Yeah. So Adar has escaped. With that dark cloud, does that mean some of the orcs are moving and running quickly because the sun's been blocked out?
That was my thought.
So,
it's like,
we got that.
We now have a darkness, and we know from, again, in quotations, the real life stuff that has happened. Do you remember it was Iceland, wasn't it? The volcano went up in Iceland.
Yeah.
And that grounded flights and stuff for almost a week because of the cloud and the darkness and the ash clouds and everything else. Well, that size of Mount Doom, that volcanic erosion and stuff like that, I suppose has happened. The orcs are going to be free to move 24/7 for a good couple of days.
Well, this is part of what they wanted to create. Sauron wanted to create an area for orcs.
Yeah.
So, this whole area will then be theirs. It will be their part of the map, their part of Middle-earth. The Southlands has basically been taken, and Mount Doom is the first part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, all triggered by this asshole Waldreg, who I want to see die badly. By the way, I want to see, and I want it to look really painful. I want someone to do it, and I want it to take their time with him. Not just like a arrow. No, this guy deserves a couple of knives put in different places, maybe testicle popping. I don't know, but he needs to be in a lot of pain. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that guy.
No, like.
So,
and there's going to be a hell of a fallout. Like, just the cloud itself rolling through with all the ash and everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to decimate that entire village, surely.
Yeah, and you think about the Harfoots that are on the move, they're going to be seeing that, and they're already a bit like, oh, this is a bad omen. Well, wait until you see this, my love.
That man in his book is going to be ripping pages out. No.
Yeah, no, this isn't good. So there is a lot. Now, there are only 2 episodes left of Series 1.
That surprised me. I thought there was more.
No, yeah, I thought it was 10 a series, but it's 8. So we've got episode 7 and episode 8. Now, I personally think that we're going to get a bit more in 7 along the lines of resolving a little bit. But I feel like 8 is going to have to leave us on a bit of a, you bastards, I got to wait a year.
Yeah, see, I think episode 7 is going to be the elf and the dwarves and the Harfoots. I think we're going to come completely away from this, kind of see what they were all doing as the explosion happens, and at the end of the episode it will tie up together.
Well, I've seen the preview and I know Galadriel's in it, and she's walking around the village all smashed up and covered in ash, so we will see a little bit. So, but anyway, are there any points in the episode you feel like I've missed?
I don't think so. I think we've covered.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's kind of like a walk through it, but I feel like we've covered it. I mean, I loved it. I kind of feel like it almost feels the better for the build. Like you kind of moan about it, like, oh God, it's going a bit slow, and then you have an episode like this and you're like, oh wow, yeah,
there's the payoff.
That was special.
Yeah.
And I think perhaps for all my criticism of them episodic television, I kind of sitting back and enjoying this series less like episodic TV and more like a cinematic experience.
Yeah.
We're loving it. Absolutely loving it.
It is epic on all standards. Even like, the episode lengths are all an hour and 10 minutes. An hour and 5.
They're not messing about.
It is epic in all kind of meanings of the word.
Well, you feel like for every episode, the director's kind of like, oh, I can cut it down, and they've gone, no, you're fine.
We don't need to.
So, no, you're fine. This is our platform. Jeff literally said, I love Lord of the Rings, make it good. So, do what you want.
So make it good, yeah.
Yeah, so no, I'm loving it, and I'm really, really happy we're sort of talking through it. And so that was it. That was episode 6. A massive thank you to everybody for listening and for joining in the discussion on the show. You can now discuss things with us in a more direct manner via our Discord, and I'm going to hand over to you on this because I'm a Luddite. Tell people about Discord, my friend.
So, Stuff and Things Podcast is now on its own Discord server. You can get it on the App Store, the Google Store, and also if you're just on a PC, laptop, desktop, you can get the app on there as well. On there, we've got like a general hangout zone where it's just a kind of safe space to chat about all things TV and geeky. We have Marvel, Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. All have got their own categories. We've had quite a lot of chat going through on the Rings of Power between people talking about how the episode happened, what they think is going to happen next. It's a real good kind of place to interact, not only just with us as the presenters, with myself, Sam, and Kaylee from the Marvel stuff is on there, but to also talk among yourselves with other like-minded fans and get theories going. So, you'll find the invitation for it on our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And I believe Sam is also putting them in the description of the podcast as well. So lots of ways to join us on there. Have a chat with us. Come join in and, have some fun.
Sounds good to me. Big thank you to everybody. You can get in touch for any of your usual means as well. So feel free to keep doing that. Until next time, you all take care.
That's a wrap.
Thank you for listening to the Stuff and Things podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. You can find us on Facebook or online. Simply search the Stuff and Things podcast to join in our conversation every week.